cheapest energy, you know, most of the Bitcoin is being mined in China. That's using coal, probably illegal coal plants that mine Bitcoin in China. If the process is extractive, and if the computing power is being used to solve fairly meaningless puzzles whose only purpose is to rank scores in terms of who gets what for solving X meaningless puzzle, you know, I would argue that there's a huge opportunity cost, both in the energy spent and the computing power that's used. Why aren't we curing cancer? Why aren't we curing world hunger with that computing power and with all that 84 million petaflops? Okay. And the thing that is the problematic that we're speeding up, the reason that it will not work, it will not fit in to the idea of this picture that Greg is painting, is because eventually we're going to have to confront ownership. This goes right back to the comment. We'll have to confront ownership in the future. Individual differential advantage will have to be dispensed with. Individual ownership is a meaning of individual differential advantage will have to go away, and we will have to be put into exclusive win-win scenarios that we are forced to cooperate because it's our ass on the line.
Are you saying no more private property?
There will have to be no more private property.
Yeah.
But
There are ways.
Why?
It's going to generalize. So I feel
Yeah.
yes.
Yes,
So maybe one way-
I'm willing to raise my hand and be a communist. I'm a Taurus.
Side by side.
So without having a political discussion, I think what I'd like to reflect is what I hear you saying is, now that we can do anything, we can program the rules of society, right? It's not enough. We're going to have to actually do it
And do it
the way
well.
that we want. And to do that, we're going to have to confront our individual and our collective and cultural shadows.
I would
that we have.
yes, I would further say that to your point, everybody's concerned that if they give up their shit, that their quality of life will be lower. It's not necessarily true. Our collective quality of life could be massively greater if we stopped focusing on our own little, you know, hole.
Right, but you don't have to
Ray,
get that
do you have
mandate.
something?
Well,
It doesn't. I'm with Rafe. I'm not saying how we're going to get there, and I don't.
You're saying
think
what the end has to
I don't think
be.
it can be done by mandate. I think everybody has to willingly see. You have to build something better, and people have to willingly see.
Right.
Oh, it's definitely. I would rather. I mean, if you
Yes,
could
Scott,
fly.
I distribute my stuff.
So we want to hear from Ray
Yeah,
and then
Mark.
Pi.
Pi
Okay.
and Ray. Pi first, Ray next.
Okay.
Yeah, so on several points, just want to continue the thread, is that speeding up transactional efficiency cannot be a good thing, because transactions exist where trust does not. And
That's not true.
well, do you transact with the person that you love the most? You bought me dinner.
That's something different. I just want
No, it's
to be
not.
real clear. So transactions cannot happen unless there is trust. There's either a trusted central
Correct.
third party,
Correct.
or there's an enforcement mechanism algorithmically, distributed. But there will not be a transaction unless I trust that it goes through.
Well, okay, let me put
Almost by
let me
definition.
put it another
By
way. Let me
definition.
put it another way. So, if I have the utmost trust in another human being, okay, the relationship I have with that person is anything but transaction.
That's a different, yes. I
Correct.
agree with that.
Okay.
For sure.
So now, as soon as we start to scale from individual relationship to a family, to a community, to a country, and so on, the trust metaphor starts to break down, right? And the best thing we can do for that is to reconcile it through some sort of trade. Right? That's been the modality
Well,
so far.
that's what we have.
That's what we have done so far. Now, back to back to the point that you made earlier about social contracts. So before the Industrial Revolution, we had a system where if you're a priest, a healer, babysitter, teacher, you didn't have to worry about your livelihood. It wasn't measured in GDP terms. So you would be important because you are important to the wellness of that group. That's a very interesting form of trust and community where somebody is taken care of because of who they are. Now, we talk about, okay, government's going to be obsolete. What happens to these people? Finance is going to be obsolete. What happens to these people? Many middlemen jobs, salespeople who are excellent at their jobs, are going to be obsolete. There's no need for point of sale because, we can do a value match. What happens to these people? So is UBI going to solve, UBI meaning Universal Basic Income, is that going to solve the problem? You're already bad at managing my taxes. Now you're telling me that you're going to manage my stipend and automation? Okay, so what I'm getting to is that where's the room in this metaphor, in this paradigm, to create contextual social trust?
Okay, pie.
Good question.
Just very
And,
briefly.
These are all good reflections that will take hours of us talking about. Okay, great. Hi.
Related to both Eric and Ray, like I traded commodities, and like the first week of training, they were like, our clients deal with two emotions, greed or fear. Or depending on movement in the market, you're either coddling their greed or their fear, and you're a croupier effectively. But then he paused because he was a Buddhist, and he said, but if you think about it, all greed is fear. Any type of greed is fear. It just it's named something else.
Yes.
And so like Wall Street 30 years ago in the movie, greed is good, fear is good. You need to be in fear for productivity to actually happen, producing and consuming. So like what Eric was saying made me think of this. It's not greed versus fear, it's greed is fear. What sort of technological pressure release, if you could, so to speak, could the blockchain provide to
Reduce the fear?
diffuse fear within the individual consumer or with the collective? Or is that just too metaphysically masturbatory? It's like not even...
I'll respond to that by making the comment that I've been feeling for a while, that there's a continuum. There's one of my favorite books on this stuff. It's called Money and the Meaning of Life by Jacob Needleman, which talks about the most abstract, translucent, transparent meaning of life, and then the most minute is money, and how do we manage the continuum from point to all. And that is the depth of the reflection that we all must sit with for the rest of our lives. And my comment will kind of address some of this because we don't have a techno fix. No technology will supplant what we need to relate as human beings.
That's right.
Yet technology has always been, by definition, a tool to improve human culture. One of the things that I want to propose in my closing comments, and I'll make them now, is that we maybe do like an economic space hackathon that is introduced by us talking about economic space agency as a one possible future salon of many. And I'll say this as an introductory preview. Economic Space Agency is a toolkit that enables people to design their own economic toolkit. And then the conversation around the commons, one of the applications I see we are working on that is, imagine the cod fishermen or the salmon fishermen in Alaska or the North Atlantic. They currently have fishery credits that says you get to take this many fish out of the ocean every week, and you get to take that much out. And they're trading that. But that's a system that's very binary and very limited. Yet the reality in the physical is there's that many fish, and unless we manage the well-being of that fishery and the ecosystem of life, we're not going to have the abundance for the future. So it is incumbent upon us as a micro community of humanity to then govern what we share as a commons in a micro, and then what we've been talking about is how do we use the blockchain toolkit to design an economic rule kit for this group of fishermen who have rights. I'm not asking, this is a rhetorical question, not looking for an answer.
Yeah, I have a very good answer for it.
But I'm not asking a question that has an answer.
So sneak it in as a question.
No, I'm just saying, I'm just posing that, I'm not posing that as a question, I'm posing that as an example where we will come together to then discuss how we address some of these dimensions of the transactional and the relational in a future salon, for us to come together in maybe working groups and share a result and whiteboard together as a proposition for you to ponder, rather than me asking us to have a conversation about this now, which is why I don't want to go any further than just posing the thought. We've had maybe 30 things that can be hours of discussion tonight that I don't want to go, because the point is for us to reflect together and have a relationship together and have a better experience by the fact that we all love each other and have some fun tonight talking. So that's my closing comments. And there's lots of discussions. I'm sure there's lots of Q&A and things that we can do, but we just have to.
Let's let Rafe have some closing comments.
Please do.
I just want to say thank you, everybody, because this has been one of the most fun discussions on crypto I've ever had. And I have a lot of them all the time. And so thank you.
What is the urgency about separating rather than continuing?
Well, the point is that we have we may
We'll
all
be here
want to
until
stay
3.
here but we have people that we need to clean up, we need to go home.
Okay, I was
It's
just
almost
asking,
9
is
o'clock.
that what it is?
Yeah, well, we have to
yes.
be out of here by 9:30.
Okay.
Let me just be really clear about what the whole process is.
Yeah.
We generally will, this is a continuous evening, but it may not physically stay
Yeah.
here. And we can keep this conversation going.
Where's a good place? Where's a good place, since there's a lot of energy?
So entropy doesn't win.
So the point is that the conversation is continuing. Those of us need to go home. Those of us, there's a bar right there called Chaya is really
Lost
easy.
trying to enter.
Chaya is right next door. That would be what I recommend. And hold on a second. Please, just a minute. We're just finishing up, and we're going to wrap up. And we're all going to wrap up. Say thank you. We have a video being done. We're going to say thank you to the video people, whoever's watching. Tune in to livingeconomysalon.com, and we'll see you soon. And again, we want all of you to be involved in creating these in the future.
Yeah, we're
Thanks
gonna
very
put
much.
another one together in a month for sure.
Thanks very much, and God bless us all.
Thank you.